mis amigos, espero y disfruten de mi siguiente receta. Hola para todos mis amigos de YouTube y Facebook, pues estamos de nuevo cocinando para ustedes, pues como siempre en sábados. Entonces pues ahora ya está aquí Patricio que va a hacer una rica lasaña. Y pues aquí lo tenemos porque él es el que nos va a enseñar cómo hacer la lasaña.
Hello. Hey, so tonight we're going to make lasagna. Pretty simple Italian dish, very popular. Basic ingredients in lasagna. 1 pound of ground beef. You're going to need a couple different cheeses, mozzarella. And then I like using the Colby Jack and the shredded there. Then you always have to have the standard Receta. 5 cans of tomato sauce, and then I really do prefer to use the Barilla lasagna pasta, and then some basic spices. You're gonna have to have oregano. You need garlic salt, onion powder, then Italian seasoning, and basil. Those would be the basic ingredients, and then always on the side you have the French bread to go with it.
Ya, pues ahorita vamos a empezar con todo lo que es nuestra receta y pues a ver cómo nos sale. Pero tenemos el mero experto para hacerla, así es de que aquí confío en mi compañero. Así es de que ahí estamos y ahí vamos. Bueno, pues aquí continuamos haciendo toda la receta que vamos a empezar a hacer. Entonces ya él va a empezar a dar todo lo que viene ahorita ya.
Okay, so the first things we want to get started is we want to get a pot big enough that's going to be able to cook the lasagna. So just going to fill this probably 3/4 of the way full with water. Then we're going to add a little bit of this oil just so that the pasta doesn't stick. So fill this pot up here. And then we're going to kind of multitask, and at the same time we're going to start browning the ground beef so that they kind of finish at the same time. So there we go. So we did this. You put this on probably a high heat for your pasta. Going to add just a little bit of oil. It can be olive oil, it can be regular oil. I prefer olive oil. It's a little bit more healthy. So just put a little bit in there. Then you open up your pasta. And just kind of get it in there. It's going to take a little while for it to soften up, and at first it's not going to be able to go all the way down. That's okay. Just go ahead and just let it sit as the water boils. Then go ahead and get your other skillet going, and we're just going to start browning the ground beef. So get this opened up here.
So it's 1 pound?
One pound of ground beef.
Okay.
And the noodles was 1 package, also 1 pound on that if I didn't say that earlier. So, and then after that, just gotta let it cook, let it do its time.
So we wait a little bit for
Yeah, it'll probably take about 10 to 15 minutes to get the ground beef 100% cooked, and then the pasta you just continue until it's ready, and then after this we'll have to start adding other ingredients, but right now it's just cooking the ground beef.
Okay, so we wait.
Okay, so now that we've cooked the ground beef and it's good and done, now using the 93%, there's you can see no fat, so I don't have to worry about draining anything. The next thing we're going to do is we're going to add our 5 cans of tomato sauce. We're going to turn the heat down to probably low while we add these in. Get this out of the way. And then we'll also start adding some of our spices here in a minute. So
I'm too slow. There.
Alright,
Two more. Ahí vamos. So there are 5?
5 cans, and then what I will do when all 5 are emptied, I will actually put just a little bit of water in one can, and we'll rinse it, and then we'll add the left just to kind of clean out the cans. There's always a little bit of extra tomato sauce in there. Also, the water helps a little bit as it evaporates. You don't lose any of the flavor. Alright, so like I said, we've added that. And then what I'll normally do is literally just add a little bit of water. And then I just kind of rinse the cans to get the extra tomato sauce that's left in there out. And then we will start with the spices. Okay, so we do that, and at this point again, turn your heat down to low, and we're going to start with the spices. I'm not real big on measuring, so we'll start with the garlic salt, and what I will say is you're just going to sprinkle it so you kind of cover a thin layer on the tomato sauce. As you can kind of see there, we'll do the same thing with the onion powder. We'll kind of just lightly cover, and everyone will have their own taste, so you'll get to a point where it's kind of boiling over there. You'll get to where you know what your taste is. Then the next one is the oregano, and we're gonna just lightly, I don't know, 5-6 shakes on there. Then we'll do the basil, same thing. And then we'll do the Italian seasoning. And then once we get this all in there, we'll kind of turn the heat up, probably to, I don't know, a little bit to medium. We'll mix it in there, and then we'll cover for probably about 10 minutes, and then we'll check on it again. Alright, hey, so it looks like our noodles are about done, so I recommend you have a colander, and then we have to drain the noodles. Be careful here, this is where it's hot, it can splash on you. And then after we do this, what I like to do, and it's a personal preference, is I just like to take the noodles out and I line them over the colander so they kind of cool. Because once your sauce is done, then you have to kind of handle these with your hands, and they can be a little bit hot. So what we'll do, we drain all the water, kind of let them set. I would personally say for like, I don't know, 4 or 5 minutes to cool off. And then what I do is I start taking them one by one, and I just kind of lay them over the colander so that they don't stay stuck together. It makes it easier when we have to build the lasagna. So, because right now it could be really hot, but just to give you an example, that's kind of what I do right here, is I just, after they cool off, I just lay them on the side of the pan, and you'll do the whole thing. But you have to wait probably about 4 or 5 minutes for the noodles to cool off so you don't burn yourself. If you're impatient, you can get some tongs and do them really fast. I wait 4 or 5 minutes. Okay, so now the sauce is done. I've turned it off. The noodles have cooled. So now we're gonna build the lasagna. It's pretty simple. So now you're gonna need all your cheeses, the ricotta, and the first step is we're gonna put a very thin layer of sauce on the bottom of the pan. You're gonna kind of coat it. You don't have to get a lot of the meat. This one's where you're gonna want to really just, the sauce kind of helps the noodles on the very bottom get a little bit of flavor, and then they don't stick to your pan. So do this. Like I said, it had a thin layer. You don't need a whole lot on this first initial set right there. So I'm gonna kind of spread that out a little bit. Kind of something just like that, just a little bit on the bottom. Doesn't have to be a lot. Then the next thing you can do, you're gonna take your noodles and you're just gonna lay them right next to each other. Okay, turn it there. So just kind of lay them next to each other right there. Now, I'm kind of got OCD, so that little space right there, I actually take and I'll tear a noodle just so it fits here. Now you don't have to, but I'm kind of OCD like that. So the next thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna take our ricotta and we're gonna put that as the first layer. Now I normally leave the ricotta out as soon as I start cooking so that it's easier to spread like this. When it's really cold, it's a little bit harder. So you just kind of put this all the way around. Kind of spread it out. And if you don't get it perfect, you don't have to worry about it, because as it cooks, this is going to melt and spread itself. And that's just, again, one 15-ounce ricotta. I personally use the one made, the original made with whole milk, not the 2% or low fat, but you can do whatever you need to if you're a health conscious individual. So we're gonna spread this out just like that. And the next thing we're gonna do after this is we're gonna add another layer of the sauce. So now we're gonna put some meat sauce on this. And this is if you didn't leave the ricotta out, the heat from the sauce will help you spread it out. And again, this isn't a real thick layer. This is kind of just to help cover it. Kind of spread it out there. A little bit more. So then the next thing we're going to do here, since that's all nice and spread out, put another layer of noodles. And again, you put them right next to each other. So this time there's a bigger spot at the end. So you'll see me with my OCD, I gotta tear it so that it covers there. And then that other corner right there. Here, come on. There we go. And we'll put this here. Now we're gonna put another layer of meat sauce. Now this one's gonna be a little bit thicker with your sauce. A little bit more meat. Now, if I forgot to say it at the beginning, I'm gonna say it now. When you first start doing this is when you wanna preheat your oven to 375 degrees. kind of cover. On this one you want to try and cover all the noodles 100% with the meat and the sauce. Let's see here. Almost there. Okay, now is when you're gonna, almost got that covered, there we go. So now you're gonna take your shredded Colby Jack with the cheese, and I start out with an 8-ounce package, and you just spread it out. Now I get 2 of them because I like the cheese, so I want to cover the whole thing really good. Okay, see, that's like 1 package of the 8-ounce, doesn't quite get it fully covered. That's why I like cheese too. And kind of pat it down a little bit, have everything nice and covered. Make sure it's all nice and covered. Now we're going to take another layer. This will be the final layer with the noodles. Spot there that I didn't tear very good. There we go. Cover that. And then I think our oven's ready. That's what that sound was. Now here's where you're going to take the last of your sauce and cover this. It's okay, you kind of press that down a little bit. So kind of spread it out. Get all the evenly kind of cover the top of your noodles. And again, as it cooks, it's gonna kind of spread itself out. So kind of spread it out, cover from corner to corner, and then now is when you're going to take your mozzarella cheese and you're going to do like you did with the other one. You're going to cover the whole thing. Kind of pat it down a little bit. So you're going to want to make sure, most of the time it takes 2 8-ounce packages of each of the cheeses. Now you can put for your other layer any cheese you kind of want, but for the top, it really needs to be the mozzarella. Keep spreading it out. Right there, and as you can tell, I'm a little bit messy, so I'm gonna want to spread this out a little bit, kind of clean off the edges, and actually I'm gonna need my napkin. You're going to want to clean this so that when it cooks, if you have any sauce on the edge of your pan, you're going to want to wipe that down so that it just doesn't create a burning. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to actually cover the top of this with aluminum foil, and we're going to put it in the oven for 35 minutes covered, and then at that time we will take it out, uncover it, and cook it for 10 more minutes to make sure that the cheese gets brown. So here you want to put your foil on, not super, because otherwise as it cooks it's going to bubble and the cheese could end up getting on the top. So it's mainly to cover this right now just to keep the cheese from burning and browning. So you kind of cover it like that. We put it in our oven. And if you have anything else that you're going to do, salads or anything, now's the time to do it. So there you go for 35 minutes. Okay, so it's been about 35 minutes. So what we're going to do now is we're going to pull the lasagna out, and then we're going to take the foil off, and we're going to put it back in for like another 10 minutes, just so the cheese, as you can see, and this is where you got to be careful, like I said, when you put the foil on, to try and not have it be too tight, because the cheese can get stuck. So yeah, that's what happens sometimes. So now we're gonna put it back in for 10 more minutes, and then the cheese is gonna brown up, and then we'll be ready to eat. So put it back in for another 10 minutes, and we'll check it out then. Okay, so it's been that other 10 minutes. Now we're gonna go ahead and pull out our lasagna and see how the cheese now, it's like a nice golden brown, right? So what we're gonna do is we gotta let that sit for like about 10 minutes before you can cut it. You want it to rest. You're not just gonna cut it. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna take our garlic bread that I buy at the local Walmart. It's already got the spread and stuff in it. The temperature's the same at 375. We're going to put this in for about 9 minutes, and then we're going to pull it out, take it out of the bag, and put it back in for another 3 so it gets real crunchy. So while the lasagna rests, now we're going to cook the French bread. Okay, so we've waited about 9 minutes on the bread. Now we're going to pull it out, and then be very careful, because now we have to take it out of the bag, and we're going to put it back in so that it'll get a little bit more crisp. So here's where you got to be careful. This could be a little hot. Just be careful. So now, this steams a little bit. We're going to take this out. We put it on the cookie sheet like this. And we're going to take and we're going to open it up like this. Now we're going to put it back in for about 4 more minutes, and this bread's going to crunch up real nice. So, put it back back in there. Stays at the 375. And we'll be good in about 4 minutes. Okay, so now we let the French bread crisp up a little bit. I'm gonna go ahead and pull it out. See, look at that, nice golden brown, real crunchy. Let that set. The lasagna's rested long enough. So now, just cut the French bread and you guys are ready to eat. Enjoy.
Bueno, pues ahora estamos aquí otra vez en mi YouTube y para todos mis seguidores de YouTube ya terminamos de hacer la lasaña que ahorita les vamos a enseñar Patricio y yo. Desde aquí está nuestro plato, miren nada más qué ricura de lasaña que tenemos. Miren, y ahorita vamos a empezar a probarlo mientras Patricio va a poner las copitas.
Alright, so always with any good Italian dish, you gotta have a good wine. So on this one, we just chose the Stella Rosa. You can choose anything that you want for your personal taste. We went with the Stella Rosa. Got a little bit of a fruity taste, which is nice. And then, I hope you enjoy and like it. If you do, I would ask if you subscribe to my Tia Frances's page on YouTube and Facebook, Recetas Caseras de mi Familia. We'll give you this cookbook for free, which is all of our family recipes. So I hope you enjoy, just like we do, and we'll see you next time.
Yeah, we're gonna test everything, so we're gonna try, Patricio, esta deliciosa comida. So,
that's good right there. That's really
rico.
good stuff.
Muy bueno. Quiero probar el pan. Bien doradito, bien rico. Y eso está perfecto. So, vamos a hacer share
Cheers.
y probar nuestro vinito. Delicioso.
Sí.
Suscríbanse a nuestro canal de YouTube y la próxima receta aquí estaremos. Así es de que gracias.